emergency show necessary when you get a earth-shattering NFL trade. And you know Sam is sitting by his computer. You got to go live, too. Welcome, everybody, to Damon Bruce Plus, Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam, with the breaking news that the Dallas Cowboys have traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks. And, Sammy, so much of that Dallas Cowboys documentary was who got credit for the Herschel Walker trade. Guess what? This one goes to Jera. We know that this is all Jerry Jones. Wow, Parsons will get a 4-year, $188 million deal, $120 fully guaranteed, paid through the nose, $47 million average salary, highest non-quarterback ever. Wow, Sammy. Wow.
Well, I'll say hello full screen here before we put up the numbers, but I did put together what the numbers are for Micah in regards to other players in the league. Micah Parsons, what this does, it's so funny that we did NFC tiers today. And we can go to those a little later just before we say goodbye to restructure kind of what we think, because this is a resonating shot through the NFC for what matters. This changes the temperature in 2 divisions so significantly. And I have to admit right now, I'm going to slap myself on the hand, Damon. I'm going to slap myself again. What do I always say? Oh, these things are adorable little camp stories. I feel like these are always campfire stories. We're roasting marshmallows. We talk about the players that almost didn't show up and we're unhappy with contracts. And then by week 3, we don't think about it ever again because that player signs and no one gives a shit. And maybe he's not in shape the first 2 weeks, but by the 3rd he is. And we never hear about it again. And contract holdouts are just that. They're campfire s'mores stories that never turn into anything. And even when we try, as I did today, to go back to 1993 and remember Emmitt Smith, I reminded you today, Emmitt said, by the way, I actually didn't have a contract. That wasn't holding out for more. I had 0 contract. Micah had a contract. Juwan Jennings has a contract, and they're just trying to restructure. I never thought this would be significantly dramatic. Even the idea that we're taking trade conversations. And as we said today about John Lynch, we said the funniest part about what John Lynch said about Juwan Jennings was, yeah, we heard he wanted a trade. We're not even discussing that. Like we heard that part and it's irrelevant. It doesn't even matter to us. We're not even talking about that. And that's what I assume it always is for the team with the player.
And look, but more than anything else, though, let's not even try to rank this around what Juwan Jennings and the 49ers might be doing. This is an NFL megastar. This is one of the biggest names on the defensive side of the football, one of the most bona fide. Make fun of the Dallas Cowboys all you might. There's really not a lot of making fun of Micah Parsons, man. He can play. Play, capital play. And this is such a kicking the can down the road on any sort of contention, Super Bowl responsibility for the Dallas Cowboys. And wherever you had your Green Bay Packers on your tier of NFC, whatever, you got to move them up at 1. So if you had them at 1, are they now the favorite? If you had them at 2, are they among the favorites? I would say they're certainly among the favorites now. This is a monster move for the Green Bay Packers, a monster move. Instead of their middle linebacker being, Edrin Cooper, it's now Micah Parsons.
And in a season that saw Zaire Alexander said goodbye, right? So there was that drama defensively for the Packers, where Zaire is now at the Ravens, which felt, sort of like an obvious, like anytime a good defensive player ends up in Baltimore, you just feel like, oh yeah, of course that happened. So they don't have that. And that was, he was certainly a face of their defense. And now it doesn't matter who, the face of defense in Green Bay now goes Reggie White, Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Right. It's at that level. In fact, there was a story we looked at and didn't quite do the other week coming out of the Hall of Fame weekend, Damon. There was a look at each current roster in the NFL and who does each team have that's going to wear a gold jacket. It was sort of like, who is a current Hall of Famer on each particular roster? And guess who it was for the Cowboys without question?
It was Parsons. It was Parsons. It's the only name you can feel good about.
And that is now, this is one of those that'll wash over us. And of course, the beauty of it is we see the Cowboys on the field without him in less than a week, in exactly a week. In
happens.
exactly a week, we see the Eagles, the Super Bowl champions, taking on, you could argue, their number one rival in the Cowboys, who won't have Micah Parsons. And of course, that was a cute storyline. It's like, oh, will Micah be there? What time will he get there? Right? No, he's not going to be there. He's playing for another team. I mean, that changes the temperature in this division. And by the way, I do want to say, you brought up Jerry Jones. And by the way, there's the number. I mean, $47 million a year for Micah. Good for him. And clearing TJ Watt by $6 million in regards to the annual average salary here, that's pretty wild, Damon. I mean, that is a significant upgrade in cash, and good for Micah for getting it. And he does deserve it for what this looks like. And by the way, Eagles fans were pissed they didn't get Mike. It was sort of the Penn State guy that people thought might, oh, this would be great, keep him in Pennsylvania. Obviously, that didn't happen, and he would just destroyed anyone in his wake in the meantime with the Cowboys. This changes the temperature so significantly in that division, in both of those divisions. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson was the best. I mean, was Aiden Hutchinson the best defensive player in the NFC North before this? Probably.
Let me just ask you this. He's sitting, he's behind the wheel of his truck, wherever he is, the desk that he was sitting. You get a phone call from Jerry Jones. You are Brian Schottenheimer, your first year Dallas Cowboy head coach. And the news is, I got you 2 first-round picks from Micah Parsons. Are you saying to yourself, man, my future here is bright? Did Dallas just signal rebuild? What is going on with the construction, with the arc of when the Cowboys are supposed to compete? I just watched an 8-part Netflix documentary about how much this guy wants to win before he dies. Does this get Jerry Jones closer to winning a Super Bowl? Are you building? I thought they were going to build around a player like Parsons. You normally do when you have that good of a player. And I think that any sort of, it doesn't make sense to do this financially argument that anyone might want to apply to any single position in football is rendered irrelevant by a growing salary cap, and what looks like sticker shock today becomes the new normal tomorrow. The price of poker just went up. By the way, if Micah Parsons is making $47 million a year now on the defensive side of the football at the absolute top, that means if you are a rank and file, very good, borderline Pro Bowler, kiss the Pro Bowl one year, out of it the next, back in it the other year, you're a $20 million a year player across the board now defensively in football. It's the $20 million a year is the new starting salary for defensive football players. Welcome to the new NFL, everybody. I mean, this is just a huge, huge financial reset to the league. And the salary cap will grow 3 extra % just on this trade alone. It's a monster. It's a monster trade. It's a huge swing of the pendulum in who's going to be good in football this year and how football teams are built now year over year. This is a monster.
Not only is this a monster, it also now, because of that documentary so fresh in our head the way that it is, it makes me wonder, is Jerry Jones was he still holding on to the idea that he wasn't getting credit for a trade of that magnitude with Herschel Walker, and says, watch this, I'll take Herschel Walker and throw Micah Parsons in there? I mean, I hate to see that it's that, that it could be that petty, but, and also this, let's take a breath for the Cowboys. And I'm not here to make the Cowboys feel better about this.
By the way, is Jerry Jones on Twitter? Or excuse me, is Jimmy Johnson on Twitter?
Yes.
Because if Jimmy Johnson's on Twitter, he needs to be like, by the way, I did this trade too.
That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. That would be great. Damon, 2 first-round draft picks is not nothing. I mean, the 2 first-round draft picks is significant in this league, right? I mean, NBA, you could argue it depends on where you finished, but I mean, 1 of 32 first-round draft picks, no matter what, is a massive, massive weapon in this league. And the Cowboys now have that. So if you were going to trade Micah Parsons, which, look, there's not a Cowboy fan on the planet who likes this, right? Let's just be clear. Like, people that wear jerseys and hats, Damon, you cannot like this. And I don't want to make everything about the Eagles, but we talk about the copycat league, right? And the copycat league says that Micah Parsons is the type of player the Packers know makes them capable of doing what the Eagles' defensive front did to Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl. That Super Bowl came down to one thing. Jalen Hurts was the MVP. You could have given it to Vic Fangio. What happened with 0 blitzes to destroy Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense so thoroughly the way that they did through 3 entire quarters, that changed the way everybody thought. The number one thing you need to do is disrupt another quarterback. You want to take Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes out of a game. This is how you do it. The idea that this is now happening for another NFC team, for the Cowboys, this is going to be so difficult to swallow all season. And unless this works out like the Devers trade, I mean, if it's so far ridiculously different than what the expectations are, then maybe they'll have a different spin. But I don't know how Cowboys fans can come into this season and think, I mean, you can't say you have a better shot at winning. And granted, last year wasn't good anyway, but this is monstrous. And for Green Bay, when we put up the tiers earlier today, Damon, Green Bay was on the top line. It was Eagles, Lions, Packers, and Rams. And I said, the Packers, that might be a little aggressive for the Packers. I don't know. That, without question, they're there. Now,
here's the thing. The regard for the Packers, if you had them on the top tier line, this trade has to propel them to your 1 seed. If you had them in your second tier line, this trade has to propel them to now you are fancying them a 1-tier team. And if they were below that, they're now in play. I mean, we are all in. The Green Bay Packers are all in on this year's Super Bowl with this trade. You don't make a trade of this magnitude without thinking now time, go time. Yet at the same time, I mean, can I get a proper age here? How old is Micah Parsons? Is he like 27 years old yet? I mean, is he still like 25, 26 years old?
Micah Parsons is. Let's look it up. And I also want to say this much. If you have a chance right now before it changes in Vegas, go get your over-under total on the Packers and the Cowboys and see if you can get them at the the number they were at 5 minutes ago.
Dude, you missed that window. That window right. Already. No, forget it. How old is he? Answer my question.
26 years old. 26 years old.
Not only is this a right now move, he is going to be our future Hall of Fame defensive player in the middle of our defense for 5 years. I mean, he is at the dawn of his prime. You got a lot of guys who are at the end of their prime that are still in their prime, but are at the end of their prime. Micah Parsons is just into his prime. Now you could say, well, he's a little bit of damaged goods, the injuries. Look, it's an injury-filled sport. That's the way it's going to go. Look at what he is when he isn't injured. I mean, that to me is what every single player is negotiating on. Not the you might get hurt, therefore don't pay. You're negotiating on here's who I am when I'm not hurt. And look at this profile that you just put up. This, by the way, courtesy CBS Sports.
Yes.
We want to get credit.
Yeah,
Thank
please.
You.
And we borrowed it, but he is a bowling ball to offenses. I mean, this guy destroys what your best plan is on Sunday. We talk about players that don't move the needle, and that's why I was kind of wondering, what is the number? Could you get it? How much is it going to change? Very, very seldom does a non-quarterback change the number in Vegas, change the number on any one particular game, and change it for totals on a season. Can you assign wins to a player like Micah Parsons? Quarterback, it always adjusts in Vegas, and that's probably because the public is going to react a certain way. Is Micah Parsons another win for the Packers and one less for the Cowboys? I mean, it'd be hard to not argue in this moment that both of those things I said are true. The Cowboys win one less game without Micah Parsons. The Packers win one more game with Micah Parsons.
I think full game swing. That's easy. I think that's an easy sell for me, for sure. It's a full game swing in either direction.
And Damon, and NFC North winner also, right? I mean, take a look. I mean, the Packers now, and they were right there with the line, but the Lions were still the favorite, despite what you and I know about changing coordinators and what that means year in and year out. The Lions were still on top in regards to where people were putting their money for this division, and this does change that significantly. To have Micah coming after Jared Goff, this is the worst news today for Jared Goff. That's for sure. The guy that got this alert, the guy that cursed loudest when this news hit his phone was Jared Goff. That is for sure.
A guy named Caleb in Chicago who might be second behind him. There's no doubt about that. Look, it is great to have everyone here. A little emergency show. We had to go live. We really did. This is such a big trade in the NFL. Micah Parsons traded by the Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers. It is 2 first-round picks going to the Cowboys. It's no small potatoes, but man, oh man, Parsons gets a 4-year, $188 million deal. What's the guarantee? That's all that matters. Well, the guarantee is $120 million, fully guaranteed at signing. $47 million annual average salary makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. When something like that happens, we got to go live. And let me just quickly say thank you to my sponsor, Ike of Ike Sandwiches. It is a little past lunchtime. Think about lunch for tomorrow already. Or you know what? Grab an Ike sandwich on the way home for dinner, have it delivered to you for dinner. These are big boy sandwiches. Thank you so much for Ike's, our good friends at the Dubliner. As always, we love you guys at the Dubliner. If you are watching live right now, give us a like and a subscribe, if you would, please, on both Damon Bruce Plus and Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam. Sam, I want to read this graphic if I can, real please, because this is going to be turned into a podcast later. Micah Parsons, again, forget what might happen if you get injured in football. Who are you when you're healthy? Here's who Micah Parsons is when he's healthy. He's one of 2 players with 12 sacks in each of his first 4 NFL seasons all time. He finished top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year voting in 3 of 4 career seasons. Second most pressures in the NFL, 330 since when he joined the league back in 2001. And he is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, averaging $47 million. Again, the new religion for defensive excellence is $20 million a year at all positions now. Welcome to the new financial reality of football.
Another guy who
grows with this trade.
Another guy who I'm cursing is Trey Hendrickson also. Trey Hendrickson is all of a sudden feeling underpaid immediately. New contract and feeling underpaid right there. You know, I mean, this is the guy that could commiserate with Micah at one point, and then he gets paid, and Micah's probably thinking, good for you, Trey, and then turns it into this. And Trey's not even on the list for highest paid non-quarterback at the moment. Trey Hendrickson got a nice new deal. Cincinnati decided to pay everyone this offseason. I got to commend him for that. But this out of the Packers, I want to say 2 things. Number one, I always said this about Rodgers, who's still in this league. Aaron Rodgers is still in this league. And when Aaron Rodgers was saying that Mike McCarthy might not be smart enough to be his head coach, that was one thing. Matt LaFleur went 13 wins, 13 wins, 13 wins in 3 seasons. And Rodgers ended up in New York and now in Pittsburgh instead. And I guarantee you another guy who's cursing looking at this today is Aaron Rodgers. You went out and drafted a quarterback, a wide receiver in the first round for the first time ever after I left. And now you got Reggie White 2.0 here, and I'm gone yet again. And maybe Clay Matthews, was Clay Matthews the best defensive player actually easily Charles Woodson was the best defensive player that Aaron Rodgers played with. I'd say that, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to be pretty fair to say on that one. This absolutely for Matt LaFleur to have this now on the defensive side of the ball. This changes. Matt LaFleur is at that level to me. Matt LaFleur is a guy who I'm not going to say I'm surprised he's not in the Super Bowl. I don't want to put Matt LaFleur on a hot seat. I want to say that Matt LaFleur has been a spectacular coach in this year. In this league, Matt LaFleur has done exactly what Green Bay has needed. And there was a season they did when they lost the championship game to Tampa. I thought that was a team that was going to beat Tom Brady. I did think that Rodgers Packers team was going to beat Brady to go to that Super Bowl in 2020, and it didn't happen, obviously. But I don't want to fault him for anything. Even the play where Rodgers thought they should have gone for it on 4th down and they didn't in the playoff loss. And I know there was a lot. That was Rodgers' big press conference where he was upset with LaFleur. I didn't think it was a terrible move at the time. And I thought they should have run a better play on 3rd down. But regardless, this perhaps does turn the heat up a touch on LaFleur. Detroit's obviously there. The Eagles are the Super Bowl champs. I can't say this is a path to the Super Bowl because there is massive, not only parity, there are just behemoths that are still, I would say, in front of you from a Packers standpoint, but in the conversation without question. And just before we go, Damon, I want to, at some point, the NFC East, I mean, Dallas, does this just take Dallas out? I mean, are they just out of the conversation? They haven't been to the championship game in 30 years. Every single team in the NFC has gone ahead of them since they were there last.
The Dallas Cowboys are right now whatever you thought they were going to be without their best player on defense. That's who they are. That is not a exaggeration of the situation. They did not get a player of significance or a handful of ready-to-go now players. Only draft picks reported so far, unless something has changed while we've been live streaming. By the way, hit like and subscribe if you would, please. We'd really appreciate it. The it's if you just want to look at it through the prism of simply this, Sammy, who do you think is a more state-of-the-art dialed in to not just how it's working now, but how it's going to function in the future general manager? Jerry Jones and his children, or Brian Gutekunst, who has done nothing but draft smart, make big choices that have kind of worked out in almost all those directions. That how many Packers choices recently are you seriously arguing with? Players that he said goodbye to or players that have added? He's done a real nice job putting that roster and team together. Who do you think just made the better deal, Gutekunst or Jerry Jones? Who do you think is more state-of-the-art at the game, how it sits today, how it's being competed and coached today? It's just.
There's one organization. Look, this organization, and the problem is I can't get out of the Gutekunst by far. Let's just say so. Gutekunst, yes. Now Gutekunst doesn't also own the team, so I always want to preface that with Jerry Jones kind of has two jobs. He's paying everybody, and then he's also deciding to have a job within that. Gutekunst has one job. He's not technically paying everybody out of his bank account, so that's a little different.
You think Jerry's walking around saying, "Make sure this floor is waxed"?
Get the envelope. Yeah, Jerry's handing out envelopes. No, look, what's Jerry Jones, and how about this? We also can't judge it. Here's the problem with what you and I do. This will be judged on Super Bowls. Okay, this will be judged. This is not going to be judged on regular season wins. This is going to be judged on postseason wins. So this comes down to give it a 5-year window. Okay, let's give it a 5-year window. Are the Packers in the NFC Championship game more often than the Cowboys over the next 5 years? And then over the course of the next 10 years, do either one of them win a Super Bowl? That's how this trade will be remembered. That's it. And the really wild part is we knew, because I just said it, that the most likely gold jacket on a current roster for the Cowboys was Micah Parsons. That obviously is no longer the case. What he does now in Green Bay, considering what didn't happen in Dallas while he was there, Micah Parsons, you can already say it, is more likely to go into the Hall of Fame with a Packer celebrated by the Packers more than the Cowboys. That already feels like more of a possibility than the other way around.
I think that that's absolutely right. I also think that Parsons now gets that opportunity to say, all right, here I am without, because we all know there's zero deniability that Parsons individually is just a truly outstanding player. Now he gets to play without Jerry Jones around him. With every decision on the field around him, if he takes the Packers over the top right away, he will have absolutely signed, sealed, delivered his first ballot NFL Hall of Fame credentials with a Super Bowl and the Green Bay Packers. And considering, I have seen the Packers in the Super Bowl. It's been a while, let's be honest, but they have been there. It's happened.
You've seen them win it. You've seen them win it. In fact, your lifetime, you have vividly seen them win it.
The Packers win, or the Cowboys win a Super Bowl in my lifetime too. But I was in college when that was happening.
Vividly in the last 20 years, we've seen the Packers win and show up in a Super Bowl. So we can definitively say that. Right. And so, and yet it is only through the prism of now a Netflix series that we're in love with that we're seeing the Cowboys win a Super Bowl. So it is different. These are much different organizations from where they're at the moment. Can we take a pause and give Jerry Jones credit? Is he admitting that the path he has taken is not working? Because you and I would both have agreed the guy we were worried about least in regards to getting paid this offseason, I certainly would have ranked Trey Hendrickson at the bottom and Micah Parsons at the top in regards to most likely to get paid, right? Clearly, I would have said the Cowboys pay their players. The Bengals don't. The Bengals don't pay their players. The Cowboys do. Like, that's going to happen. The Niners paid everybody. The Bengals paid everybody. And the Cowboys didn't pay their player. Now, I want to say shame on you. But then if we're going to sit here and complain or hear complaints about the Cowboys not winning enough in the way that we need them to in the postseason, and they've done things a certain way for 20 years, then changing that way, I have to commend.
That's certainly it's a generous way to look at it, I think, on from a Dallas Cowboys standpoint. But let's see, the proof will be in the pudding. Like you said, who are the 2 first-round picks? What does Dallas do with 4 first-round draft picks over the next 2 drafts? How would they bundle them? Where is that? Let's see how it all shakes out. But I think that you kind of are who your reputation is at this point. And I think Jerry Jones is on the wrong side of what matters most here. You acquire first-round draft picks to draft players like Micah Parsons. You make decisions around that salary. You don't make decisions because of that salary. This is a player who, again, just might have reset the market, which means whoever you draft to be your next decent middle linebacker is going to be making $23 million a year the minute they're off a rookie contract. Like, this is the new football reality, to where the cap always goes up and the market always rises to meet the ever-growing demand. I just read an article today that says the Cowboys are worth more in this ranking article than it was in the one that came out a month ago. They're worth like $14 billion. I don't want to hear about the cap. I don't want to hear about how prudent a financial decision, a new way of thinking this might be for a team that needed a new step off the path. The path's problem is not the step on or off it. The path's problem is the traveler. And that is Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones, if there's one thing that we saw in that documentary, is that his fingerprints are more over bad decisions than they are over good decisions. He's done an incredible job building a brand, building a stadium, building a phenomenon, building a media empire. But when it comes to actually building a football team that carries through with what what would you say it is we're doing here today? It's winning big football games. It's been a long time since the Dallas Cowboys have won a big football game, and I do not believe this trade today gets them closer to that. I do not. So a generous summation, Sammy Bananas, if you will, on what you think just happened. And you know what? Time will tell. You might be right.
And the only
odds of the cosmos are saying Jared just fucked this up again.
Look.
There's no saying that Jimmy Johnson did it. Congratulations. That's the win. I do think there's something behind that. I really do. I really think that there is a little something that triggered. I need to do something to shake the world, to let everyone know I'm still that crazy drilling for oil Texas man from Arkansas, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, I'm sure the Packers feel more right now like this is a gusher. I mean, this is definitely a gusher more on the Packers side at the moment than it is for the Cowboys. And the only thing, Damon, put up the average salaries again. And I only want to say one thing again. And I'm not here to support the Cowboys. I am an Eagles fan. But yes, they are a rival. And I watch a lot of Cowboys football. I mean, part of being an Eagles fan is watching Cowboys games and rooting for the loss every single time. That's part of being an Eagles fan.
We know.
This is what I want to look at, though, Damon. That $6 million there that is different. Does that go to show you that perhaps this was always further off than we thought? Right? That's a significant jump. That's more. In other words, if he's at 42, we all say, okay, what was going on here?
But the fact that it's, I think that's the thing. He's 26, dude. TJ Watt was not 26 when he just signed that deal. Trey Hendrickson is not 26 years old. He is 26 years old. That's why I think it jumped, $6 million more than any other reason.
I mean, Max Crosby. I mean, look, is Micah Parsons $12 million better than Max Crosby? I mean, I'd say that's the best comparison on this list. Max Crosby is the other young wrecker on this list, right? I mean, truly that. And so it just, and look, not shocking. Look, CeeDee Lamb's money plays a part of it, but maybe the best point you made is when we're talking billions and you're at the top of the Forbes list, does it just mean that you cannot have a conversation with anybody about money? In other words, crying poor would certainly not be anything someone's going to listen to in regards to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. It's just never going to happen. This is the Yankees losing. This is the Yankees losing Derek Jeter. I mean, Micah Parsons is at that level for this franchise right now. There's not another player that's in the category.
Jeter won titles. Aaron Judge is still looking for his too, but he's
there. You go, Judge. This is it. But their number one player is Micah Parsons, and he no longer wears that jersey. And
by the way, Sam, speaking of gushers here, because I know we wanted to keep this tight. We want to just get in, get out with this breaking news show. And we don't want to start just rambling. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Let me do this. Let me do this. We got gushers, 3 of them. Joe Sullivan says, as the self-proclaimed number one Cowboy hater, I love this. There you go. When a team makes a trade that people who hate that team love, that's how about this? I've never been a big Green Bay Packers fan at all, having grown up a Bears fan. That hurts. That's big. That's big. That's big. Green Bay is. How about this? I did not have them on my first tier. Now I do.
And the rest of that division has tiers also. I mean, that is tier. Yeah, a lot of tiers. And I would say this much. You mentioned the Bears, Damon, and before we go, this is the only point I wanted to make. It would be foolish for us not to at least say this name. Khalil Mack. That was a trade. Right. That Khalil Mack was the last player, at the time of this sort of magnitude to be traded. I mean, it's just so rare. I mean, McCaffrey's an amazing trade.
The reason for that trade, though, was an old man not understanding the way football was about to work. Or if not, that was Mark. No, that was Al. I mean, that was Al Davis. That was an old man not understanding the direction all NFL business was moving in. I believe the direct quote was, you can't pay $20 million a year to either side of the ball. $20 million a year is about to be the per position new floor of salaries. $20 million a year is, I start in the NFL. Your right guard will make $20 million a year. Everyone, $20 million a year is about that's the new price of
Damon. It's Damon. 20 million is the buy-in at this table. Period.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Jim said, why pay $188 million not to win? Because when you're ready to win, you win around players who produce like Micah Parsons. Why pay anyone anything? Why do it? I mean, that's what do you mean? What you understand that players who produce huge statistically get paid huge. And Parsons, whatever your problem is with the Dallas Cowboys, he wasn't one of them, right? Whatever your problems were with the Cowboys, was it on him? Was he not getting it done? The guy's been amazing. He really has been. Finally, Joseph Fernberger says, how about them Cowboys? And that is the perfect place to leave it. Sam, you got a final thought that you got to get off, but this is something else. Thanks to everyone for being here, by the way. Sam, Betesh, final thoughts.
Final thought is this. Don't come at Damon and I with opinions on Friday. We will have seen the Cowboys. I want to say the opinions on this. I want to see the Packers play also, right? Let's have Micah play. The Cowboys are going to play without him. We're going to have one opinion, but I want the totality of the Cowboys have played a game and the Packers have played a game. How do we feel through 1 week of this? It's going to be hard not to throw trash at the Cowboys, depending on how that goes on Thursday. And of course, if they beat the Eagles without him, amazing. But I just both teams need to play, and we need to see Micah in that way also before we make a full decision.
And then we need to wait 3 more years, and then 5 more years, and then maybe 6 more years to really know what the hell just happened here. But what just happened here was fun. Hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Share this video with someone who's like, hey, believe me, this just happened. Seriously, like, I feel like I'm walking off the beach. Again, this isn't quite Luka Doncic got traded, but this was a holy shit trade in sports. And we don't get many of those. So It was fun to enjoy it with you. Thanks so much for being here. And here come the Packers, apparently. Sports don't build character. They reveal it, and like that, they're gone. Whew.